It's the reason why when I watch some people do speed runs of games where they can bypass a bunch of the content, it's like, this is great for like playthrough 5 or something like that, but you'd pretty much miss out on the entire point of the game if this was the first time that you had done this. So, Alex, you have something that you'd like to delve deeper into.
I did. I wanted to talk to you about something I've noticed as kind of a trend for a while now.
Cool.
That kind of just bugs me in gaming, specifically live service games,
Okay.
MMOs, and the like. I've been playing a fair amount of World of Warcraft, still, always, whatever.
Mhm.
One of the things I've noticed over the years with them is they go, hey, here's an expansion. Cool. You play for a bit, and you might stop, or you might do whatever, but generally what they do is go, here's the expansion, and then, like, as the patches roll out, we're going to add more content to it. Like, you don't just start with everything in the expansion all at once out.
Sure.
Because you kind of go, all right, so, like, here's everything that it comes with, but like you're paying for all of it. You don't have to pay for the other stuff.
Sure.
So it goes, here's like the first dungeon, first raid, you know?
Yeah.
And then, or first couple dungeons and the first raid. And then they go, the next part will have more of the story and then another raid. Because they release them in chunks. So they have, I guess, probably time to work on it. And so people have time to get through it before kind of just rushing straight to the end.
Sure.
You know, it makes the longevity of the expansion make it last longer, which is not the problem I have.
Okay.
The issue I have is when that new piece comes out, suddenly the game decides, hey, we know you're maybe the level appropriate for doing this content that just came out. Why don't you go do it? Here's a quest. Go do it. Go do it now. Go. Just go do it. And meanwhile, if you hadn't really played the first part a lot, like maybe you'd played it but hadn't gotten through all the story or done the dungeons and the raids, it's still telling you to go ahead and do
the new stuff.
The new stuff, which from a storytelling perspective is really breaking pacing.
Yeah.
A lot. Because at that point, you can go straight from somewhere in point A to the beginning of point B, skipping everything that came before it. And so you get these broken storylines where you don't quite know what the heck happened.
They basically were like, hey, here's a novel, but we're going to rip out chapters 3 and 4 because you don't need to know about it.
I can go back and play one of the older expansions, and you start off doing a thing, but then you hit a couple levels up there and it goes, hero, hey, since you're doing this expansion, this is content that's now available to you from this expansion. And I'm like, yeah, I'm cool, but I'm trying to like do it as it were to have come out. Because in WoW with time walking, you can do campaigns as if when they were active. So you can go back through and relive them as they were. But there's that issue is you get up to a certain point and it goes, oh cool, now you can just go straight from here to here and skip everything between the 2 points.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, okay, but again, even in Shadowlands, I had stopped playing for probably a year or so. Hadn't played WoW in a while.
Sure.
And I get back into it and it goes, you've missed all this stuff, but here's the newest stuff that's going on in the zone. And I'm like, okay, cool. I haven't completed the zone that came out before this. I haven't even gone to it. So you're just jumping in, and then it's like, here's a bunch of exposition for the story. And I'm like, cool. I don't know what led up to this. I don't know why suddenly this person is getting a redemption arc and this person is turned evil. I'm like, but great. Spoilers, thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a really strange thing that's what happens. Yeah. And I think it could easily be solved if instead of just having hey, here's maybe an item power level like gate or a level gate
Sure.
maybe it should require having completed the storyline up to a point.
Well, I mean, that is something that you usually see in, games that aren't MMOs.
Right.
Where like, even in sandbox games where I can kind of go and do anything, one mission on the main storyline has to get completed before the next one does, because otherwise, you're disjointed. I mean, we're not doing Memento the game, where I can just pull everything out of sequence and just try to make it make sense later. We're doing a game where, you have a main mission line or even submission lines that you have to complete in a certain order. And I don't really know why an MMO, maybe because of the framework of how MMOs work, massively multiplayer online for those who aren't aware. If you do those and people are just not focusing so much on the storyline, maybe, maybe it just doesn't matter to them as much. And so they just want to jump to whatever the new content is because it's the new hotness and everybody is going to it. Maybe that's the reason why, but I don't know why you couldn't just do it in the same order, too. I don't know how a new player jumping into this would somehow be able to keep up.
Even as a veteran player, I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what do I do now? Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the reason why I don't play a lot of MMOs. The last one that I tried to play like Guild Wars 2, and I realized that I can't play these kinds of games. It's not my thing. Because it did feel disjointed in that same way, where it's like I don't even really know what the main storyline is that I'm supposed to follow, and now I'm off on a completely different quest, and I don't even know how it relates back to the thing that I was doing before.
I will say Warcraft has been doing a better job with the main storyline quests that they do for expansions, because they've differentiated the campaign from side quests, at least in the quest log, and how they appear.
Sure.
Which is nice, but it's still kind of weird that you can jump from point A to point B, and you don't necessarily have to have that entire linear campaign done in the correct order.
Right. Now, with something like a WoW Classic, I'm wondering if they're going to like revise how some of that framing is done after the fact, because they have the...
I don't think so.
No.
I was playing Classic the other day, and I will say one thing that's great about Classic is the tutorials are way better than current WoW.
I bet.
Yeah, because current WoW just assumes that you've been playing MMOs for 10 years and know everything there is to know about MMOs and know how to play games.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not great for new players.
No.
As opposed to WoW Classic, which has the old pop-up things. It's like you try to do a thing, it's like, oh yeah, here's how to do this thing, this is how this works. And it's like,
Sure.
oh cool, tooltip, nice, thank you. But I don't think they're going to update anything like that, because even in that, like, your quest log, it doesn't have the, it doesn't point you where to go, it doesn't have anything showing up on the map. Current WoW, it gives you markers and everything. Again, we talked about quest markers before, I think, at one point.
Yes, we did. A mission structure is the mission structure. That, there is legitimately a reason why you go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. It's the reason why when I watch some people do speed runs of games where they can bypass a bunch of the content, it's like, this is great for like playthrough 5 or something like that, but you'd pretty much miss out on the entire point of the game if this was the first time that you had done this. I don't know if you've ever seen them do a speed run of New Vegas where it takes them 15 minutes to complete the game.
Oh, jeez.
But because there's obviously some ways to cheese the game engine so that you basically get to New Vegas directly from Good Springs in a matter of like a minute, and then just go around to the thing. But if you were to do that, like, oh, I've played New Vegas and I know everything that's going. No, you literally, that's how you skip through all the main mission quests to get to the next marker point, which they do let you do in that game. If you take a different route, you don't have to do the stuff in Boulder City, you don't have to do the stuff in Canton or whatever. It usually will mold itself to the experience of just saying, oh, okay, so we're at this point in the storyline. without having to hit the other buttons, and maybe they weren't a little extraneous. But if you do just like a speed run of it in 15 minutes, chances are you've missed most of the actual storyline, so that you can do the thing where you get to the end of the game and say, yay, I completed the game, but you didn't really play a lot of the game.
Right.
or know why you completed the game in the first place. Great for third time through or something like that, but speed runs are probably not the best thing to try the first time you go through for that same reason. MMOs, yeah, like your WoW, it feels like they're inadvertently encouraging you to essentially speed run through the content to get to the end of the content.
Yeah.
Which is odd, because unlike the scenario I'm talking about, this is the first time that you've done it, so why would they assume? I could see if they wanted to do the thing, like you were saying, where they take you back and you can like relive it, where you could skip around, like chapter markers, when they would do those, like here's the chapters you've completed. A Halo kind of style chapter marker where I can go back to the individual ones. But first time through the content, I definitely wouldn't think that they'd want to encourage you to skip over entire sections of the storyline. The only thing that I take away from that is that just speaks to they don't really consider the storyline to be all that important to the people that are putting it out. Apparently.
Yeah. It's I don't know.
Priority.
The storyline is important to the people that want the story, I guess, and then the dungeons and raids are important to the people that want to try the gate worlds first.
Right. You know what they could do is, and it's hard with a game as old as WoW, but if you are gonna build a game that's like this, that's gonna have like annualized content and all of that, you could have a thing where you explain to the players, like, what do you actually want to play it for? And you could ask them like priorities for the individual players. Is it storyline? Is it gameplay? Are we min-maxing? What are we doing? And then that would also explain what hints or direction the game gives you. Because if you want to play it for storyline specifically, that they would not prompt you to go to the next area. But if you're interested in doing, power gaming or whatever, that they'll direct you specifically to the most optimal mission for your level. That way they can kind of get the best of both worlds by customizing the experience for individual gamers. That might work. They want to showcase the new cool stuff that they put in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to really undercut all the stuff that was there before that we just did.
Right. It's like, I don't want to miss out on all this stuff just because there's new stuff. I want to experience all the stuff.
Yeah.
Let me do that. But let me do it in the way that the storyline would have naturally progressed.
Right.
Because that's the thing WoW does. It's like, here's all of the content all at once now.
Yeah.
Once you get to the certain point, you can bypass the rest of this and go straight to the next one. I'm like, no, I want to see how that entire thing's supposed to unfold. As if I was playing it while it unfolded.
Yeah.
Calm the fuck down.
Right. I mean, the general takeaway here is if you have a story, you actually have to tell it. Right. If you're going to give me a story that I'm supposed to follow, I actually have to follow it. You can't just skip over it. It feels like that over-anxious... Like the part of me that used to write stories had this over-anxious part where I wanted to get to the good stuff without having like all of this exposition and text beforehand. And so I would rush chapters or pages to try and shortcut it all so that we could get to the thing that I thought was the really cool part. But it undercuts the whole weight of the storyline when you do that. It's like, oh, now they're fighting a giant alien monster. Like, there's no weight to it because we just literally sped to the thing that you thought was cool. It's a Michael Bay movie. I can't, what am I supposed to do? There's just an explosion every 5 seconds now. I guess the question that we could pose to the folks down below is if you have a good example of story pacing in games that that stood out to you, and maybe a bad example. If you actually have a bad example, I'd be interested.